Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Yes, we're in San Nicolas, man, the Sunrise City. Welcome, welcome. First and foremost, my apologies for the late start. Murphy's Law. What gotta go wrong is gonna go wrong. Yeah, so welcome each and everyone to the 38th edition of WeCulture. Seeing some new faces. It's always a pleasure to see new people come into the program and so that we can interact and so forth. I want to invite you guys. We are live on Facebook, WeCulture page. Please, you can go on there and share it. So maybe someone who is not here can follow us through as we go on tonight. Yes, so WeCulture is a platform that was created, like I said, some 38 editions ago. It's the last Saturday of the month, and we have been able to hold on to it and keep it true. It's somewhat, from my personal opinion, it comes from a Pan-African perspective in the sense of where we get together as the ancestors used to do. Back then it probably was under a big tree, some oak or some other form of tree, and discuss what's going on in the village. And these days you always hear the world is like a village, it's a small world, again we are connected and so forth. Yes, but at the same time sometimes we are staring at a screen someplace and that's the connection, and we hardly get together and look each other in the eyes and have some meaningful conversation, And today it's a continuation of the WeCulture that we did in January, which was our 36th edition, where we took a quote from the late John F. Kennedy, and the quote goes something like this. I'm just paraphrasing, so don't hold me to the exact quote. And I think it goes something like this: don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And in that sphere, we said, don't ask what San Nicolas can do for us as a community, but what we can do for San Nicolas. And it was a very interactive and straightforward conversation where we had different people on a panel, and we had a nice interaction with the crowd that was here. And before you know it, it was after 9, and I had to cut it right there because the establishment closed at 9. So there was a need for us to come back and revisit this question. And so I want you to get in the frame, the mindset of we as a people from San Nicolas, or whatever connection you have with San Nicolas as a community, and the San Nicolas you would like to see, So from your experiences, whether it was from school coming up as to where you're at now, and what would your contribution would have been, and what would you like to see from here and towards the future. Back in the days when we had, I think it's almost a decade now, Caribbean. It's close to about 10 years, right? I used to serve a drink there, which some of you are having tonight, maybe the ginger or the sage lime, which is available right here at Kulture Cafe, for the tourists and local as well. And one of the comments I used to get from a lot of locals is, my grandparents used to work in Lago. They always talk about the connection that they have with San Nicolas. So I was born in Lago Hospital. Those kind of connection. All year round, me and a couple of friends would start here, and we talk about, maybe from a historical perspective, the people from Santa Cruz used to come through Butuku on the donkey and come up and sell the peanuts, and So the connection is there. With that being said, WeCulture is taking a new direction or introducing something new to WeCulture, whereas from this WeCulture, we are going to highlight a business or a project that is going on in the community. Give that person or family the opportunity to come and explain and meet a different audience, So let's get it started. Tonight, in that same breath, we're going to have the leap of faith. And I'm just going to introduce the gentleman, and when you hear his story, you would see the importance of having or being willing to take that leap of faith. Tonight with you guys to explain the project, Mr. Terrance Ras.
vai explicar um pouco do meu projeto que eu fiz. Um projeto que me está parte de que eu passou pela metade do ano na escola, que não estou suposto a cana back of competir a assistir todo o corte na massa. E eu agradeço a todo mundo que não presente também por estar suposto bem suporte para nós conseguir assistir algo de verdade. Sobre a hobby gente, tem lá o estudo, e não depois de desabilitar com mais outro problema. Hobby não não pode escutar, quando estava com um banco, e criou uma experiência, quando estava esconde, quando estava organizado, de mais, quando começa a ir, começa a virar gordo, quando começa a dormir na cama, quando começa a pegar, quando começa a abrir na herida, tudo isso ainda passa com ele, com o bom. Na casa tá gente que ia trabalhar mesmo televisão de todo dia hasta vida coisa hasta todo programa não está passa de ano lá me sai exatamente o que está passa vai no pier back o pier tá submersible pier o tá ponendo assim tudo exercise que normalmente bota raia em terapia o tá beba assim 30 minutos como bota tudo exercise tem água também vez que pier sac gravity tá basta só tá bom então conta um pouco de local que sei. A mim mesmo, agora me dá quase ano de cama, me dá 18 bolsas de pia, uma cidade grande como a área. Então, para com 30 para 35 anos, eu estou suposto de por cana bom mais, então eu começo a one stock, então para 40 anos, eu estou suposto de estar depender de estudo, etc. E o qual tem available ainda. Então, para 5 anos, uma noite, me dá bem, você pode ser uma curva, quando não sabe, mas uma sonha com mitad dentro da mão. Então, somehow, ela mata outra San Nicolas. Mitad sonha com mitad dentro, então, somehow, mitad smile so. So, mitad passa isso, hopi orando, hopi dolor. Passo tudo dia de casa herida limpa, bolou bota pela, mas não avisa. Então, bota vira hopi incômodo e overweight. O seguinte tempo aí, uma vez me disse, senhora tempo aí, você tem que comprar mais seguinte dia com ele. Passo me quer salvar gente, me pela bota pela. Barbença mitad tem, de tá gente feito. Depois vai vir agora, vai gente que vai estranho. Mas vai lá mais de Santa Nicolas, tá corre, tá cana, dentro santo, tá bocai, é santo, tá bocai em santo, mas vai sinta mais na mão. Bem mais sinta de mais na mão, me tá corre bom crã, me tá base tem campo, então na Santa Nicolas tem strong basta bom com a pira, vai a fora. Me sinta aí na strong com me vai atrás, então bem mas vai atrás back, mas é para mim move back, como não acho depois de tanto tempo, é para mim move tá até aqui. Mas põe me pia mal back, me bater. Então para cinza, a água tá assim na alta, como por assim que para. Mas para, mas cai sinta back. Pô, mas mais de dia, me unam também, não tá comendo, tá pessoa não tá vai comer na mão. Não precisa para. Me tá para assim aqui não, me tá aqui na constantemente me tá estranho, mas não me vai que nem, não como é aqui não acaba, e acaba me por arrumar assim está perto. Pois não estou agora bom, um gente que tá o dia só bolsa subia, eta nunca debater, nunca lo vou para me estar, nem agora vai treino, eta assim na hobby do louco para sobre o custo principal que botar perto, vez vai acidente quebra o osso, tá bom músculo não. Sem músculo, não tem nada longe de para proteger o osso. O que eu faço? Músculo tá com o osso, proteger ele, que eu siga develop, que eu consiga ganhar mais músculo, que eu virar um atleta, depois se eu conseguir treinar todo dia. O qual é tempo é bem, passado doctor não pensava sempre tá. Quando tem acidente grande assim aqui, vou no vai gym, vou vai treinar, vou virar pior. Mas se doctor consegue par de tempo, então uma comissão para mim, pia que não, a vira quase mesmo me parte manga, ainda botou aqui, mas tem que eu. E cada vez mais para que o movimento me hace, é daquela craca. Que eu tô passando daquela craca. Que me hace para que eu posso uma começa para o músculo acaba. Então mas decidi, mas é palavra da bisa ter que ali por feito também, então começa vai me mesmo por treino, começa a treinar back, de dia como tenta água como cana back. Passa para 4 horas lá como que de la matia assim aqui. Contento, só me dá, sabe? Assim na letra me dá bem água, tá contento, pessoal. Bom, não tá querendo que eu vou cana back, toque, que mais um gosto e acaba botando de momento, acaba fastidioso ainda, com a possibilidade a menos. E vai indo na mão todo dia, que é consistente, de ano a lograr fazer half marathon de luta. Se ano como não está suposto dar melhor estudo. 5 anos depois, mas que vai em competência de bodybuilding também. E cai em prêmio, eles representando a Aruba de Caribe também. Então, minha experiência, o qual me está dizendo, o qual me está fazendo, actually, está fazendo tudo o qual eu faço, tem debater, que não está suficiente para meia hora para dia, meia hora para semana. Vamos estar consistente todo dia para criar músculo, para defender o osso, para o cana. E bebote de água, imaginar que a me está tentando que nós não por fim chega, diz para baixo da mão, porque o que ainda nós não está louco assim. Porque vamos vai que santo, está pega se precioso. Me lo disse imaginar que a com origem não chega, boa que pir com também fez, com não por, disse smile na cara. Porque a missa conta da Bíblia de escola. Missa que filho está, creme da touch por alma. E nota questão que você diz vai em água só que você vai a chance de drink, porque dentro é parte de lá que tem water, tem coisa que você assim, mesmo que você acha que você dentro é parte de lá que pouco submerge, porque você tudo pia não está afhankelijk de outro e é parte não está mover de lá e para trás, que man a você certo com como que é é parte em água, e ora é ele não está vai essa primeira de um pia back não por chance can, porque dia vai loss safety belt foi por ambulance tudo. A água trabalha su trabalho, e trabalha por nebulanta, então não trabalha assim aqui, corre me falar, trabalha assim aqui. Não se mais trabalha assim na grande, então o primeiro step não trabalha, passou para não por, não está de falar não com nada não trabalha, porque a água ajuda não. Vez, boquita é intimidação, de dolor, de momento, e inseguridade, bota louca. Pero general nunca não tinha segurança, mas vez que queda cerrado em sua casa, etc. No segundo lugar, eu pedi uma esperança. A macana bem assim, não me mais. E se lá fogo, me está trabalhando tudo, tinha me cuidado para estar roupa acaba, me tem 4 anos, com meu page, com me está sendo, tudo me tem um business de welding, tudo me resta de material que me está assim, me está eu walk na página na casa. Tá de rosto, me dá se não por nada para destruir não, tenho uma ideia com o filho não tá. E me desejo tá com não diz para câmera Aruba, não pode ser por um filho não do ajuda a Aruba só. Me visão tá mundialmente, pessoal, essa aqui não tá assiste. Me tinha pattern pending, mas vai já com New York tava tu gosto, não tá assiste, então não é chance tá pattern. Como tá o único que tá tendo do que tem uma ideia inovativa não tá assiste. E essa aqui não está disponível não de nós todos só. Passou para ele não cego, ele não com atípicos, ele não com diferente problema para vai disputar de nos água. O quanto passa na terra na frio, roupa ainda não vinha rua também, até roupa turismo também para rua. Aqui que passou roupa ainda com muita papel com não, quando de nós todos na Holanda também se trata passamos conta de ser roupa meio com outro. E frio das tropas tudo ainda está sobre a casa de Bailante, sobre o frio das tropas de circulação de sangue. E nós também tem água caliente que ajudava a caminhar, que ajuda a circulação de sangue, que nesta ajudava a criar uma músculo. E o qual me quer lograr que nada está quase um cambio mundial. Porque me está seguro de o qual me está dizendo um proof of concept que o nesta vai trazer. E me tem minha experiência para anos acaba com meu background, com gente por pisar meu com não vou a minha page, não vou confiar pisar. Legal que também trahe de liberdade. E me também se eu vou kita por a fundo para me fazer para sobre eta material também sair caro e me só começou de mês não trabalhou assim um pouco. Eu vou chegar de certa maneira, pero com a ajuda me sigo de mais gente nos faz um cambio full. Então não financeiro somente para o pessoal, sabe que vai mais leu hasta. Pessoal, atrair um turismo único para Aruba. Para anos me está tendo na Aruba com sim, nós temos turistas, nós temos outra entrada. Nós temos que buscar maneira para ter uma entrada para Aruba. Agora até aqui. Se a visão não está sendo visto, me tem está ponindo não, está com o propaganda, o pone isla, é o único lugar no mundo que o povo pinta com uma experiência dele. Aruba também está com o top. Isso não de passou para lugar turístico só, mas é lugar, é o único lugar no mundo, uma isla, que a pensa por fim de bem na desabilidade, com menos opção. Vai ser tempo, espero me logra e sorry me não abingo nesse mita sala mo bingke pir ko wong kinang so me tem modo de trabalhar, mas se wakit ma presente liba mídia e não tem ma presente. Governador a tema, agora invita tudo gente vai a hata meeting não acaba. Pero yeah, estamos dando commitment. Bampe. They say, it's all about team clock aba. Kita calcular en 2 por semana, me pone un luna, nos porque da traje, nos porque da claridad con él, entonces hacer como un prototype para el test. Bom, mas também passou boa noite.
Thank you, thank you. Give it up for Mr. Terrance Ras. Now, Terrance, don't leave yet. Get in now, Rato. Just in case, does anyone have any questions? You heard about the first submersible pier, right? And that is something that is unique. I've heard about it before from someone, but from a different aspect. But so on your first time, the primeiro dia que vai com o rolstool tem wheel suficiente grande.
Não, cultura constante. Então, o rolstool não pode ter tensão.
Okay. And the other kubo pier com e gente lo llega, nang e pier lo donanan e oportunidade kunang pode vai com o rolstool pier vai ter.
Exato. Então, o rolstool não comigo tá de PVC. Que vem mais pessoas não andam bem com um cabo, bota carreira fácil, bota carreira para muita, para diferente idade e também o rolstool lo bem com um pena bom, com tá subir e barra, com usa diferente rolstool também.
Okay. And also, so this could be a project for also the elders, you know, so a lot of the elders are afraid to get into the water because sometimes when you take that step just with a wave is breaking, it's a little bit difficult to get in. So any question from any one of you guys in the audience? Or you have heard enough, you want to get a little more in depth as to how this submersible pier is going to work and how we can bring it for the island. Anyone?
How can we contribute financially? every little bit help, but how can we contribute?
Maabre um stake tem algo aqui, então tem 12 mais que tá lá, stake não é uma leap of faith, é non-profit. Mas se você ele não está apoiando, mas se viaja também o qual mais está traz e mapa full novo lá que tem arquiteto tem também e assim que tem também tem dinheiro como vou apresentar também. Esse local está sendo o que está sendo um prototype que está entre 25 para 35 mil para radical na mês, com enquanto não tem material adequado. Então para enquanto stainless steel, pero mi pouco power coating, então mi pier não está stationary. Então pier que agora vou cabo usar para saque. Esse tá tudo será kita todo problema também se tem environmental mas não kuno ila compreendível que bom não pode chegar com o onde como pero esta sari bota esta trabalha para gente fazer limpo água para washing hands então usa esse seguinte dia porque era um conversão da calcular do comité de 5 anos de experiência de material então me calcular de 5 anos esta quanto suficiente se você saque manter a necessidade pero com todo detalhe a ideia tá para hire funds para acessar então vamos assim aluga que é vamos maquiar punele hotel não tem punele agora me tem vezes que lá também para não nós podemos fazer algo para aluga também ter entrada e aqui eu também tenho único isso que eu oferecer essa aqui na mano então prometo que põe seguro sem falta também tem San Nicolas.
Yeah, it's going to be right up here. You have a beach that you would prefer to put it on?
Well, me tinha portrait nessa cá com eu mas uma publiquei como tá para com nela mano. Esse tá bilante de Big Mama Grill.
Okay. So, leap of faith, and where would they find your social medias? Can you give the handles as to where they would find the information and they would be able to follow you?
Okay, I work in the basically by having page, leap of faith page mes. Kasi my page mes ta mangka wedding. And then nana mi ta basically post tu mi trabalho na comunicação na buhay na por bisa wawe ga equipe mes po asa coisa. E mi team de squad ai como tá como refinery and refineria e mi data site manager de parque de molino de viento para 5 anos. Matrapo tem no todo projeto na standard são de aquaponis de sorry Santa Rosa, EPI Solar Lab, Smart Community, di lanti da event, tutte le sensors, non tutte le sensors.
So you have a wide range in the field of fabrication, dealing with metals, and you have, through your tragic accident, you were able to create this.
Sa kita orang COVID dal, ang ora ma baile mo mes, kung sa proyekto na. Kung sa because teka na di senhora po nem tá aí. Così col capanno da pega na muralla che sera perché se non desvena non ma para che non è possibilità con ele che dia di andra e sono co promeni che acercami para trás coisa se me potrà não Te kudia dia da de mi casa la para wami mi cara quando mas pique que comi dia ta mi tin sonho passa sa que então de dia que la wami mi cara começa a llorar ante la bisam Terrance vai caminhar muito subida ante la começa a llorar open ante dia ma primite mas que eu ganho não abo sonho mas ma primite tu rende funari também passa funari mi apresentação tá com funari e tu me rende não com nossa papel com funari sonrisa e não sempre mas mi apresentação e não tá muito bom para cada coisa não tá claro para subir pier mas nem está por mim não está guardando actually eu sei eu tô honor sabe para poner smile e cambia poner e não smile só de tu na cada um chance back de por não cana por me talvez sábado de cana pero me tá cheio você não garante sábado como talvez e melhor achou e tu me chama com pessoas não como tenta como meu grande actually dentro da rua tá vai estar attachable no pier então em vez de weights nós vai usar elástico que nós seguimos starter etc. E muita vez na cozinha na profissional tem ele tá transpiro porque uma meditação que tá com ele com fisioterapia etc. E me tem fisioterapia também que tá dando terapia de classe e minha para pisa e minha papel de dia com uma massa de apresentação também que na me dá roupa seguro por ele que tá sim problema.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Terrance Ras. Give it up for him, please. Thank you, Terrance. We have a question. We have one more. And if we could keep it short, and then we can get into the second part. Thank you.
Going to Terrance, bisa ko, basta kabisado aqui, continuar a dar para ele. Vamos estar com a companhia da mesa. Seperti kapital, isang kapital, komisaryo ko rin. Para kasi,
muita vez copia acertando me parece muita vez está seguindo o time não sabe me dá assim aqui a me San Nicolas com mim também tem um pouquinho de ideia não que parte para San Nicolas me dá escutar de mês e me dá perceber
The question was...
I mean, no hay ainda, so me dá um meeting com Luna passado, com mais top, so é que eles tinham aqui, me dá supposed a press conference, o ele novo, então é update ng committee com Funari, essa palavra assim, para agora é serve para fim de outro Luna, que nós trabalhamos assim, top, so e nada me trabalha live com todo mundo, então tudo ele não é nosso trabalho, chance para também com o público, com uma componente importante, e o aqui que nós colocamos aí no fundo, esse é mais antes que nós estamos. Pero mita tingin na hobi ting pari yung hobi positivo kuta base purbano as possível siguro kan isa ko nung gamit stop peluche mita bay sige dito ka.
Thank you, Terrance. Thank you for your innovation, and I guess sometimes it takes you going through something and where you could come up, and you're the only one who could really explain it the way you have because you've been through it.
And I have pictures, I have all of everything.
So thanks once again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Terrance Ras. And so please go and visit Leap of Faith, follow the project and see where, you never know who is listening, someone who could help. So let's jump right into the second part. And we continuing. And the question is, don't ask what San Nicolas can do for you, but what you could do for San Nicolas. With that, I'm going to invite a group of people, panel, is to come up and sit. And we'll have a conversation, and we'll see, hopefully you guys have questions, we can interact and come up with some good stuff for San Nicolas. With that being said, a young entrepreneur, I'm going to just call her up, and in her introduction, she will be able to go more in depth. Ms. Bernadine Akins, please take a seat. Give her a round of applause. Anywhere you want to sit. Feel free. Randy, we have a couple of extra mics. And without further ado, a young artist. I've seen a lot of his shirts, innovative in his designs and so forth. And we'll get into the conversations. And if you look up the road, I think you can probably see one there. I love San Nicolas, Mr. Alonzo Williams. Yeah. And these are some of the panelists who we're going to have tonight to continue the conversation. And also, representing the community, it's their 50th anniversary, 52. Well, I thought I'd be behind. San Nicolas Business Association has been here for 52 years. And whether you're on the same page or not, but they are the legal entity who are in the community, who the government recognize, and it only takes the man in the mirror to be a part of. Like they say, the best players are sitting on the side in the field, but you have to be in the game. You have to be the pitcher, you have to be the batman, field, center field, footballer, the striker. Be in the game, be a part of the game, then you can make the change. The Secretary of San Nicolas Business Association, Mr. Errol De Freitas. Yes, so we continue in the conversation, and I'm going to keep it the same way. Ladies first, Miss Bernadine, take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, and feel free, talk about your business, your dreams, and then we'll get right into it. Miss Bernadine Akins.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bernadine Akins. I'm the owner of Kulture Cafe Cafe, the very known Johnny Cake snacking here in Aruba, well in San Nicolas. Approximately 2 years ago, I took over the business from my parents, so I'm basically running the business. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Miss Bernadine Akins from Kulture Cafe Cafe.
Hi, good
Mr.
evening.
Alonzo.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alonzo Williams. I'm a very known artist in the community throughout Aruba. I've been known for designing, whether it's caps, body painting, airbrush art, a bit of everything. So keep it short.
Thank you, Mr. Alonzo Williams.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Errol De Freitas. I'm the Secretary of the San Nicolas Business Association. Professionally, I own 2 companies, and I'm here to support the event tonight.
Thank you. So there you have it. First question. How would you aspire to see a San Nicolas? What would be your perfect San Nicolas, Ms. Bernadine Akins?
My perfect San Nicolas. That we can unite more in San Nicolas. Yeah, basically unite more. The local businesses can help out each other. That's about it.
All right. Alonzo.
I think like Ms. Bernadine said, a constant support from each other, going forward with whatever things that we do here in the community. We need a constant support from each other. That's the only way we could make it in Aruba on the whole.
The man in the hot seat tonight. It's on fire.
It feels pretty good to me.
Great. I'm glad you're comfortable in there.
I agree.
Give it a shot.
I agree with Ms. Bernadine. We could talk about unity, right? But the time has come to put unity into practice, right? So we could talk about it, but the time is now that we have to put unity into practice, and it's going to take the willingness of you and me. And if we could make that relationship work, I think we'd be well on our way.
Great. Now, as a community, and how Ms. Bernadine started it out, she would like to see more unity. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming out. We have a nice crowd. It's not a jump up thing, so you probably wouldn't catch a lot of the kids. We had Bacchanal, the Groove playing afterwards. So, but it's, like I said, I enjoy this part of live communication. It's what I, alongside the people who are with me in We Culture, we enjoy these types of conversation. I think it's beneficial towards the community, where we can actually agree to disagree. And if we can do that, instead of, because on Facebook, everybody's a champion. But if we can sit here and ask the meaningful questions and, have the interaction, then I think we can accomplish certain things in our community. And I think I'm a realist. We jump into unity, but let's be, if there was a historian here, I think he probably would agree with me that, hello, we all ain't gonna unite. It ain't gonna happen. I don't know, I ain't taking that leap of faith. But if we could somehow find little groups that we could work with each other in some way, not work to bring down the other group, but everybody, you know, can carry on and do their thing. So, Era, as the Secretary of San Nicolas Business Association, and you hear businesses being mentioned, how can we, from the San Nicolas Business Association perspective, have, well, it might sound contradictory for me to say have more unity, but work a little bit more together, and do you see that happening, and how does San Nicolas Business Association go about recruiting members?
Basically, you're asking me two questions, right?
Yes.
To the second one, how can we go about? It's basically a simple equation. But to get to the first one, this association it's existed for over 50 years plus, right? This association has weathered many storms in the years that this entity, this association had started. It started when business was on the up. It started basically around 1967, 1968. My dad is one of the founders of the San Nicolas Business Association, and the first president as well. And in those days, you had the catalyst. Lago was a catalyst, right? From the spin-off from the catalyst, you have all sorts of businesses that were needed for the refinery, especially. They were popping up everywhere. We were importing employees from the Caribbean, and then you had a mixture of the local community that also historically went into the apprentice and the vocational schools, and everybody learned the trade. And we carried the refinery for quite a long time. We're talking about if we look at beyond these walls, we're coming up in 100 years, 1 century that San Nicolas has given up pristine property, right? For a better future for the community. You know, we go historically down into many phases of the conversation. You had 59 nations living, all religions, a very unique city that we live in here. But as soon as we started losing the refinery, because a lot of the people in the community, they were very connected, and most of these professionals, I see a couple of them in the audience, they were professionally educated and prepared for this, right? And as the years went by, and we know the history of where we are today, we had to diversify. We have to diversify, and diversification began since Lago had shut down. When the beginning of it started around 85. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But then we started diversifying, and diversification went that way, right? Long and behold, that as we look at it now, you see, down there is a Miami Beach. There's nothing else to explore. There's nowhere else to go. Even the sites are pretty burnt out because, you know, you come off a ship, you come out to your tourist, your hotel, you jump in a taxi, you jump on a tour bus. You do the same tour that used to end up by the natural bridge. Even the natural bridge decided to leave. So right now, we have been, it's a living document. Those of you that have heard of the National Transformation Map, it's a group of professionals, some of them sitting in the audience here tonight as well. But the National Transformation Map, if you look at it, it carries a lot of the ingredients of where we should be headed next, right? And right now, we're looking at the perspective without the refinery. If the refinery does come, because of potential, you know, fossil fuels ain't going away anytime soon. But the idea is, you know, you need an operator for it, and it's a captive industry, right? But while that is on, we always say, and Andy in the crowd, Andy always say, icing on the cake, and I agree. But in the meantime, we got to make sure that we could never get caught with our pants down again. And to do that, we need to diversify. How are we going to diversify? Everybody have their way of looking at this city, right? Everybody have the way of looking at San Nicolas. Everybody moving in different directions. Right now, on top of besides the refinery closing and all of that, you have the pandemic came and struck, so it was like insult to injury, right? And what we did in those times is that we took the funding from the members and we turned around and we turned over to the electronic world. We created a website for shopping carts, and you go on, you go down the hill and that. But I noticed you get a little eager with a microphone. The change of it, the whole change of it, again, it begins with you and me. Some of us, I see that individual groups that are moving, which is good. But the thing is that what the SNBA has done over the years, and especially in the last years, right? We found a civil way to work with the government and with governments, right? Unlike all the other NGOs that would go in the newspaper and jump and criticize, we choose a civil way. We would go to meetings, sit down, listen, and even if we don't agree, we send them a little guys. We get them to go on the table. It is pretty much very important to say tonight that we have already had 4 council of ministers bringing the government of Aruba to San Nicolas. And that is something that we used to know historically. Nobody was coming up this way. But we have the attention. And right, what we did recently, if you look historically, it's for the first time, and anybody in the audience will correct me, when you look in the government's program, the hearings accord, you see in San Nicolas Business Association, they passed the baton for us to be part of the revitalization of the district, which we don't only cover this area, but it's from Balashi all the way up to Punta Basura. Now, as I'm saying these things, the load gets even heavier, because you have to take on the social aspect of it. But I could go through this in phases, but is there a pathway? Yes. Are we on the pathway? Yes. Right? As we speak and we finalizing a lot of things that are going on right now. You can't put the carriage before the donkey. You gotta wait and let it happen. But my time up for answering that question.
I think you can go through the whole night.
I can go through. I didn't know you was going to tell me.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. In order, as you remember last January, for instance, I would appreciate it if, not that the information is not valuable, but in order for us to have, as we call it in the Caribbean, a pilau, a mixture of information in the same pot, I would like you to keep your answers a little bit shorter, but it's valuable, and then maybe we can get questions from the audience where you would revisit some of the same, Yes, so with that being said, let's continue. Ms. Akins, Bernadine, from your business perspective, you said it's about 2 years you took over the family business, and how is things, by the way?
Things are good.
All right, is it short and sweet? Good. So, what if you could give a little as to some of your projections? Where do you see your business going, and interaction with the community and tourists as well? How is that working?
Well, the main goal is to stay in San Nicolas, of course. Branch out a bit more. What we do with tourists right now, we have like a platform in the hotels, in certain hotels, and there's a video going around in a few of the hotels, and the guests are seeing a few local businesses in San Nicolas, which introduces them to the local food, and that has brought a bit of tourists here up on the island. Of San Nicolas, and you keep getting more guests, and every guest is seeing something different, pretty much, that it's something new, they didn't know about it, and so that's one of the concepts of getting the tourists, so trying to bring more information down on the tourist side. About the locals, the local is pretty much each event day try to plan something so we can get more locals up over on this side of the island.
Great. Alonzo, from someone who view things maybe outside the box, some people might say, as an artist, creative mind, you're in this community, And I'm sure that we all have things that we might like to see done differently, or maybe in a different aspect. But you know, we roll with the punches. Change is difficult sometimes. What do you see, or how do you see yourself moving forward in this environment where we are now? And is it possible? How it's working out as a young family man? You know, how is that working?
I mean, like you said, I'm someone that thinks outside the box. And in the community we live in, as an artist, I feel my goal, or what it is I do from a creative aspect, is to be able to bring forth a picture or an image, whether it's on a t-shirt, whether it's on a hat, that particular individual would like to have, or something that would be meaningful in a community, you know? So for me, from a design aspect, if you're asking about me on the creative side, folks come to me with an idea, and I just bring the idea primarily to life. That's primarily what my task is.
Okay, with that being said, let's highlight the businesses. You all, from Errol to Miss Bernadette, said that you all have active business going on. Feel free, you can go ahead and plug in your business there, how they can get in contact with you, and some of the services that you provide.
I mean, most people operate right now through Facebook. Facebook is one of the leading ways of communicating, of getting in touch with someone. If you type in my name on Facebook, I'm pretty known in the community, but also known in Aruba. When it comes to art on a whole, if someone is looking for a particular artist, whether it's airbrush or whether if it's a mural, most of the time they search me up, because word of mouth is the key. So my work goes around from word of mouth, from one person to the next. But if you would like to get in contact with me, you just look for me, Alonzo Williams, on Facebook, or you could contact me 745-0143. That's just easy as that.
One addition there, is there a special area that you would say that this is your niche within that line of business? Airbrushing portraits. You know, I have a passion for portraits, but I design a lot of stuff primarily based on what the customer asks for. Okay. So I try to please the customer, whatever their creative idea is, and they would like to see, I create it for them. I still gotta come back to you. I have this jeans jacket where I want uprising on the back. We don't wear jeans jacket like how we used to before, but I gotta get that done still.
I got a question. I got a question, sir. When you set out and asked me to be on a panel, that invitation. Going forward, what was the projection, or what was the prime thought that you had for me on the panel?
In general, as someone who lives in San Nicolas, but mainly from your business.
Okay. From what it is I do, from the creative aspect.
Yes. I was looking to formulate the panel with a different age group, different aspects of the community. We had one person who dropped out, sadly, and that would have been what I call our seasoned panelist, and that person has been in our community, have worked, retired, just started the next business. But yeah, sadly, things happen, like I said, and she couldn't make it. But yeah, so that was where it was. And of course, in the same breath, I could say with when I look at for San Nicolas Business Association, for this kind of culture, I definitely would want them here as to meet different people or give the platform to them to reach different businesses in the community. And as Errol pointed out, they're the ones who the government recognize as a legal entity up here, who they have that connection with. So it's good to know it's good for the community to know that if you have a business, you can reach to them, and hopefully they would respond and they can take it from there. Mr. Akins, you can explain where your business is located and just a little. Well, we know that we got Johnny Cakes, and just tell people how to get to you. So forth.
Well, Grote Bergsnack, we are located pretty much next to opposite of Capella Manuel. That's in the back of Colegio Urbano. We specialize in Johnny Cakes, but also local food. Mainly, you can get us on Facebook, so Grote Berg Snack, or you can also always send us a WhatsApp at 567-8283. That's mainly
Great,
interest on
thanks.
Facebook.
Errol, I don't know, you're here, but we wear many caps. It's a small community, and I does many things in this community.
Sonny, hold on. You could also visit Kulture Cafe on the Facebook page of the San Nicolas Business Association.
Great.
You will see that each one of they in the spin of all the businesses that are members, and when they have specials, we know and it's on our page.
Okay.
So you put me in a hot seat.
No, well, all the things are hot.
You come in a hot seat. You have businesses, active businesses here. You have a business association, also a business owner here. So then,
You can turn your cap around.
the questions that I have to answer, sometimes because of the association, they widen. It will take more. They will take more time. Otherwise, I could tell you yes and no. Some of these things going to require a little longer.
So,
Just,
but you have the opportunity to highlight your business if you so see fit. You said you have 2 businesses that you operate in the community, and are they international?
No. I have a touring company,
Okay.
and I have a consulting engineering firm. A consulting engineering firm as well.
Great.
But right now, it's like other businesses are doing. I am as well finding my way with this. I'm finding my way with this, and but right now I chose to come here as part of the San Nicolas Business Association
So you want to stick to that?
share. Yeah.
Okay. Great,
And
great,
I
great.
think that was a pity that we didn't have more other organizations of the same.
So far, I think the audience they look attentive. Nobody's sleeping. So I think we have a question from Facebook. We're going to go to that, and we'll get back. They're right there. Yes. Les, you want to let us know what the question is? And who we directed to?
This question is from Robin Dider, and it's directed to SNBA. What is the core business of San Nicolas Business Association?
The core business of the San Nicolas Association is to promote, support, and enhance businesses in the community of San Nicolas. But this is not only in the area of San Nicolas. It stretches from Balashi, and it takes it all the way up to Punta Basoda.
All right. Robin, thanks for your question from Facebook. And we have a couple more. Let's see if I'm doing the school and dance and get up and go around in this crowd. Thank you. The man himself, Spice.
Good evening. My question is to SMB. So, for businesses in a city like San Nicolas to grow and to be successful, we need traffic, right? We need people moving around, going to places, going to different businesses. If we look at San Nicolas for the past years, we can say it has been sort of sucked clean or sucked dry, meaning that if you look at our community, a lot of the people who live here don't work here. So they, as clients, are Papa, we're missing that up here. Even a lot of our educated people who went away come back, they study, they come back looking for a place to stay. Most of them didn't get a piece of land in our city. They have them all over the island in other places. So we lost that, it's a koopkracht from that part. Now, my question is, has any of this been spoken to government, as in, like, how come we don't have any government office? I mean, this building used to be dove when I was small. We don't have anything up here. Has this been taken up with government, as in getting back some of those government bills? As we know, government is one of the biggest werkgever on the island. Ambtenaren. We don't have much ambtenaren working up here that will create a traffic during the daytime, a business traffic for the community. Our people who would have great jobs, or we can spend easily. We go to a supermarket, go to one of the restaurants in the city. A lot of them don't live up here. Has that been talked about with government, and what was the reply?
To answer your question, good night. You said your name was Spice?
Rwanda. I could call him Spice, not
Spice,
you.
okay. I relate to, I know they have a DJ Spice. That's
Same,
how you DJ
one and the
Spice.
same. One and the same.
You are talking about flow, right? You're talking about flow. And, one of the things that I believe that tonight, individually, as a person, I have to say it tonight is that, we need to stop depending on government, right, and start depending on ourselves. With that said, the government is still an important aspect of it. Answering your question directly, for the past 3.5 years, we have been in and out of a whole planning schedule, right? But as we speak, for all of the time that we've dedicated in this, right now we're at the cusp, right? Right now as we speak, we're doing what you call a roundup from the ministers. And the round of the ministers is talking about, hey guys, of all the plans that you have, like I'm just going to give it to from this perspective, from the new election to now. We told the government when it was formed, we said, this is our manifest. It has 20 points on it. If you go on our website, pariba.away, you can look up manifest and you can download it. You can take a look at it. But the first question is refinery, yes or no? If no refinery, what is next? Repurposing, yes or no? And we went down the line with the questions, right? They are responding to this as we speak. Because, as they put it in the hearings accord, when the Dutch came down, the San Nicolas Business Association was fortunate enough not only to meet with the Verno, but we met with Coho. Not one, not two, 3 times. We toured the refinery, went through the streets, and to create flow, they have a lot of different aspects that we're working on to do it. And it coming up, we're right now reaching to the peak where it has to come into action, right? It's true, we need flow. But first of all, we need to start organizing ourselves. Let me give you an idea of flow. The San Nicolas Business Association wasn't very excited about having a 900-room all-inclusive hotel. No. But we realized we needed a catalyst. When he was a little boy, he didn't have toys. But we realized that you needed a catalyst, right? So, and at a certain point, you have to bite the bullet. Because of just that catalyst, right? You have another option going up in a hotel right near to what we knew as Essa Club, right? You have a 40-room going up. You have a new owner of what is Serena at Rogers Beach. So you're talking about 3 projects there going up. The agreement that we have with the government is to minimize all the business activity, mean the shopping and the business and every, restaurants and stuff, that this is going to become the shopping center, right? In reality, this hotel should have been opening now in December of 2022. It has been pushed over to March, and I believe with the latest, what is going on now, they already won 2 of the 3 cases that they went up against because it is a project of national interest. That already is calling flow, because the flow that you're not seeing, if you take it from the roundabout, and you see the important things that are going on that we was pressing, you will see that IMSA now, by next year March, will have the JCI accreditation. The JCI accreditation is so important that for these hotels, because they know that if somebody gets sick, they have a quality of center that could take care of them. We went down and we put up the fight and tell them, no. We're not sharing this with the HOH. Go remain 2 separate entities. Continuing to tell you about flow. If you look at coming up all in the main street, you see a lot of renovations going on. You see a lot of people opening business. The problem is it the right businesses that they're opening? That's very important. So we need to start to be able to handle the flow. And I will give you a premise on something that's going on. In our national transformation map, We were very clear that we wanted to jump up and fix all our national treasures. Guadalquivir, the Tunnel of Love, the Phosphate Mine, West Coast Battery. Those are sites. You know, they're talking about us being cultural, historic, music, cuisine. These are things that they're talking about. But you know, we need to stop talking about it as we tell them, and we're very firm with it, and we need to start doing. We giving them. We have the minister. Imagine the minister of. We just had a meeting last week with the minister 2 weeks ago, the minister of Economic Affairs, and we not to say that, you know. It's not to say that you want to be rough and tough, but we say, listen, you know, even the Lance Paquetan talking about the San Nicolas Business Association with the revitalization of San Nicolas. So the Dutch basically telling them, you know, this is the area you need to fix. This is the balance that you need to fix. So right now, the focus is here, but you know, you even have to get everybody's nose pointed in the same direction. This is not the time for us to be divided. I could throw something out. Here tonight. We have to be so ready that by, if I'm not mistaken, by this summer, we could easily expect 600 to 800 tourists a day turning around in San Nicolas. They're going to spend an average of 4 hours. And the way we're doing it, just like when Secret start, we call up all the contractors. Guys, you have an opportunity to give you the first opportunity to bid. Same thing we're doing with the tour. If you look on our Facebook page, we're calling all the tour operators. We're going to meet with them this week. Tell them, guys, this is your opportunity. And we have to get ready. We have to get ready in the main street for this. Now, we have a path to this, right? The path to this is that we're getting ready for our member summit now. Because in a member summit, you're going to have all of these prospective businesses, like everybody talking about the Eagle LNG. You're talking about secrets. These people are going to be here talking to, first of all, to the members of the San Nicolas Business Association. And then we're going to have a community gathering. And that the community gathering would call upon the community of San Nicolas to come in here and exchange on this. Because you have to see the plan. San Nicolas have been hearing about plans too long. We need action as we speak. But the actions you don't get, we don't get this action from dividing each other. We get an action by building the strength. And I want to announce tonight, very proudly, as you look at Sonny holding the microphone, as you look at Mr. Val Peterson sitting down there, and you look at Mr. Tito Bolivar, we have Mr. Clydeberg. These people are all involved in, we started an alliance. It's called the San Nicolas Alliance. We extended it to the San Nicolas and Paribas Alliance. Why? It is going to be a circular organization that we become a triangle. When one bleed, all bleed. Now we're approaching this is, we had the first test case. Imsan was bleeding, all of us got together, we supported Imsan. And we intend to move together as a force, because that's the way this will happen. You know, at a given point and time, it ain't an entity that we are in control of. No, we have equal participation in it. But the idea is that on certain things we agree to disagree. But in this case, the majority will rule when we make certain decisions in the interest for the city. And right now, I think we are at that point. Right at that point right now, where you're going to see flow. And as flow comes, we got to be ready to receive flow. So the message right now, you're going to be hearing it in the next. By the end of April, we're going to be out with this. You're going to see the promotions of it. Because, you know, we need to attract, we need to bring the businesses that the tourists would want to buy into. The tourist is not coming here for your perfection. They come to the island for your imperfection, for your food, your culture, and what. You know the story. But if that answers your question, I'll be satisfied.
Thank you, Errol. We have one more here. Ms. Shirley.
Good evening, everyone. Geraldine. To the gentleman in Gonzo, have you thought about giving less to the younger generations?
I'm sure. The thing is, I've always thought about giving classes to airbrush classes to the younger generation, but at the same time, I keep in mind that airbrushing is a very costly hobby. You know, it's something that is a very, like I said, one of the more expensive hobbies out there. Getting the proper equipment, getting the compressors, getting the paints to actually to flow through the compressors. A very, very, very costly project if I was to start with it. But before getting into doing such, I would really have to brainstorm and see how would be the best way, most affordable for youngsters that want to learn airbrush. But like I said, I'm a very open and approachable person. If kids would like any information about it, or they would like to know where they could get materials to start it, I'm very open. Even if they would say, you know what, Lance, do you have some time out, to give 5-10 minutes time, to show them how it works, I'm open for that. Coming back down to part of the program tonight, I understood from Sonny that it was to really in touch what you could do for your community versus what your community could do for you. And touching on that subject, one of the things that I'm very proud of, for all the years I've been airbrushing here on the island, giving to the community, creating for the community, is we have a mural today that we could call our own. Meaning, in a sense, I created an I Love San Nicolas. That is something that it touched deep within all of us. But as you look through Aruba, there's a lot of murals that all of us could relate to. But I think at the end of the day, by putting I Love San Nicolas up there, every one of us can have something to be proud of when we look at the I Love San Nicolas mural. So that is, touching on all the stuff I've done. That is one of those that being here in the community is a mural to put back into the community that we can be proud about.
You have one more?
Yes, Mr. Secretary. Yeah, can you hear me now? What about the local farmers? Seeing about the prices, prices that's going up. Have you thought about, stirring in the local farmers? Maybe they have people that has land, they don't have the seeds or they don't have the plants. But if we could invest in them and give them and support them, and then it would be better for the island, don't you think? If we have our own products, our own vegetables, our own fruits, then we don't have to buy so much from abroad, that the prices will go down.
Totally in agreement with you. You have a big group. Farming is becoming very popular through the hydroponics on the other side of the island. As we speak, everybody is looking into the refinery lands. Just for you to know, we have an investor for the last 2 years. 2 years. It's a Colombian Aruban company using Dutch technology that will put down greenhouses and a specific industrial dedicated piece of land, so you don't mess with the what you call it, with groengebied, right? And that will cover between 60 and 70% of the needs of the island. Not only that, this same group, they also want to go out there and teach the local farmers and help them as well. Just imagine if we could cover 50% of the needs of the fruits and vegetables. It's these concepts is stuff that we're talking about. And when you look at what it takes to plant, if we're thinking to use wet water to plant, we can start thinking again. We need to go down. They have an area, Paribadi Brook here, that is actually dedicated to this. It's called Butuku. You familiar with that? If you remember when you were small, I don't know, you look like a young person to me, but when I was a little boy, I used to jump in the car with my father. I showed Bobby do this too. We used to go down to the Chinese garden. Down there, you pick up your veggies, your greens and stuff. So this area has been dedicated to this. A lot of this land is still available for it, but here is where we are. With the government. We need to do. Let's give out the land. Let's make sure that these people will have the connections, and it will only be a win. It will only be a win for the island. But to answer your question, yes, It has been done. It claims Scarlet around the island because, as you know, what's going on with the boats from Santo Domingo and from Venezuela. But yes, it's been because it's unaffordable. You know, even with the 20% that Ling and Sons on Tuesdays, believe me, I know it's very expensive. But it's not only stuff that's thought about. I want to tell you, Alonso are very, like this guy, this guy have a couple of things in common with our head. He's a sitting miracle, right into me. But for business like Alonso, what we was able to do with the government is that if you're a new businessman, if you're a new entrepreneur, right now we have the Young Professional Summit coming up, right? The idea is to be able for him to do what he needs to do, right? He could come to us, sign up, fill in the application, right? And we can go and knock on the Minister of Education. We can say, hey, you know something? Look, we have this. This is something that's good. And even if it's expensive, right? Even if it's expensive to do what you do it, there are alternatives. There are alternatives. The same China is still an alternative, and they have avenues to get it done. But one of the things that is very difficult for the young entrepreneurs and for the business people in San Nicolas is a little pain that's going on. Because if I'm going to dig into the skin now a little bit, you go to a bank with your project. I'm telling you, factually, you go to a bank with your project. The bank will tell you, hey, pero di como que abre bom negócio na San Nicolas. San Nicolas não tem tráfico, ele vai estar morto, não tem nada, right? I'm going to go further. It will go as far down as the anime mentions here. They can't even open a bank account, so they stand to get robbed. You understand what I mean? So these are those things that we're dealing with, and we face them with it. We face the bank when they say, guys, you know, these things happening, they shouldn't be happening, and they can't happen because. So just to give you an idea of the possibilities, we created, the SNBA has created we could be a good liaison between the government and the business community for helping them more than ever right now.
So we have opportunities in the community and we have coming. Now, one of the things we touched on in January was ownership. We as a community, some of us may own our own house or have a little building here. You have rent involved. I don't know. Do you all have an idea as to a percentage of the buildings in San Nicolas and how it ties in, not just by being in San Nicolas, but in terms of San Nicolas ownership? SMBA. You all have any of those? And this one doesn't have to be the extended one. I mean, no, this is regular data if you pursue those kind of stuff.
Wait, before I continue, I'm looking at a picture, I'm looking at a painting there, and I'm looking at a dear lady that I respect very much. Can we give a round of applause to Mrs. Alice van der Roman that's here with us tonight? Alice, I was intimidated looking at the painting.
You thought you had a tweet?
Yeah, I was like, why is she
welcome.
Why is she looking at me like that? It is good for us. It is good for us to know that while people are not saying anything, there is a lot of business. There's a lot of merchants buying a lot of properties in San Nicolas as we speak. They're on the down low, and everybody waiting for the move. So there are buildings that's still available. You have the vergrijzing. So the youth, the children, they want a big payoff, right? But we have other plans for that too. But yes, people are buying silently. But there are still quite a few buildings available. But if you take it out to the main street, we should be able to take this out to the main street and go into the rest of the community. So yes, and yes, there is.
Okay, great. Any questions as we go along? Okay, I see Mr. Gibbs has a question here. I say I ain't giving up my mic tonight, no, I'll give you my hand. So let's get the question and then we can move forward. We can work with that? All right.
Yeah, good night, everybody. I had one question. If I'm not mistaken, this one is directed to Mr. Errol from San Nicolas Business Association. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, the national budget will be discussed in Parliament. Begins on Monday. Is San Nicolas Business Association in any way knowledgeable of the budget that the government would have for infrastructure of San Nicolas? And if so, do you guys agree with it?
Thank you for that question, Bobby.
Like I said, they're going to discuss it coming next week. They have proposed. I said earlier on in my answer, I said we're doing the roundup from the ministers right now to make sure. So they had a jump in advance. So if they didn't have to have, to make sure they have it. But as they're going in to it, we spoke to 4 ministers already, and they discussed not budgets but projects, and also right. The 3 ministers that we sat down with already, right, talking about budget over heavily. So, to answer your question, I would say yes.
Specifically, infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Oh yeah, we had a meeting with the Airway 3 weeks ago, and they pledged. And in this time, the pledge begins in the Cerro Colorado area with signage and the roads and stuff like that. But you need a budget to be able to do it. So they have the budget, they already have the budget, and they just did what you call a overhaling to terminate certain projects. I'll give an example. If you look at the main street, if I'm not mistaken, the last time they fixed the main street, they reached to Chaliba or they reached by Lino.
What's that?
By Lino. So then we asked them during the meeting 3 weeks ago, correct? And when we put it on the table, no. But as we go to figures, in the next at least 2 weeks that this thing will go on, we will know. And the idea is in the representation of Musica as well. We're about gathering organizations to come together because we need to do it. We need to get it done. You know what I mean? Even the Carnival Village have to finish with infrastructure.
Thank you, Errol. Appreciate it. Now, I think even Jose Feliciano can see if he drive from, what do you call it, the lighthouse, California lighthouse to Punto Basura, that lighthouse up there, you would see an imbalance on this island. And most of us who took that drive, whether it's once a month, once a year, those who take it every day, you see an imbalance on this island. I mean, it's there. And hopefully with groups and different individuals working from this island, from this side of the island, and not working from a perspective of what government can do for us, but hopefully if any one of you are familiar with Claude Anderson section of economics and how we can hold government accountable, because the politician is supposed to work for us, not we begging from them or going and every once in a while. And I'm speaking across the board. If you take from 85 to now, we have been promised, and that's what the politician does. He promised to maintain his power, to maintain the vote. But fact is, I think I put it in a song sometime here, if you look at the sidewalk, it started out with clinkers down the road, and we end up with asphalt and a lamppost in the middle of the bicycle path. Drive, take a look and see it. We have a lot of famous Calypsonians who say in San Nicolas we have a sense of, we know where the potholes are, so we don't drive around them. I mean, those are basic facts and things that we see as a community. So if that organization that you talk about, the Alliance, working, whether it's a 6-7 organization and could speak from a position of power, without being too aggressive, but at the same time firm, and establishing and be able to demand from government what it is we would like to see as a community. And as they say, damn if you do, damn if you don't, because I tell you all already, I'm a realist, and everybody ain't gonna like it. But if the majority carries, then hopefully we can get certain things done. I also believe in the democratic system, not that it's always right. With that being said, any more questions from the audience? You guys have...
It's important for you to know that when you take from the Dutch perspective, Holland, the Landspakketten, they told the government straightforward that you need to fix your weakest link. You need to balance the island. So you need to start investing in San Nicolas. And it's very clear in the Landspakketten. You can go and look it up. A Landspakketten ante ding nos ita ding a website. See it up? I think it's in there, but just to give you that, so what you're talking about, I totally agree with you. But even not only it's not only visible for us, but even the Dutch is identifying it for us as well.
Okay, so the colonial master recognized that there's an imbalance also. I have no way of looking at it. It is what it is, you know, definitely. So, any more questions from the audience? We can keep it rolling, you know. I mean, the interaction is part of we culture and what we do. Jefferson Paris, kind of far. Good night. Any question? Happy belated birthday. This is a community affair, you know. We can agree to disagree here. I hope it's a safe space and we don't throw punches. But it's all good. Miss Akins, how would you visualize, you talk about maybe a little expansion with your business, you have a video running at the hotels, is it at most of the hotels? Oh, let me rephrase it. What is the question like, or what is the conversation like with the clientele from the tourist aspect who comes to your business? How that conversation goes?
So basically, I ask them where they're from, which hotel they're from, which part of the US they're from, or wherever they come from, and ask them how did they hear about Kulture Cafe Snack, and they tell me about they saw the video in the room, and that's where the conversation strikes up. And most of them never been up to San Nicolas, first time coming up to San Nicolas, and yeah, that's how the conversation goes. The nice thing about it is though that most of them is the first time coming up, but they also get to experience a different culture over in San Nicolas.
Great, great. Now, when you say most of them is the first time coming up, we have a lot of repeat guests on the island, and some of those, have they mentioned to you that they've been coming to the island but never come this side?
Quite a few. You do get a few repeat guests, but never comes up this side.
Okay.
Or very limited. Or if they come up to San Nicolas, they don't know about most of the local businesses we have in San Nicolas.
Okay, and yet we have a tourist information center up here. So we are lacking in actually getting the information to the guests when they come to the
Yes,
island.
we are.
Okay. And at the airport, is your videos being run there also, or you have any knowledge
Just
of
in
that?
certain hotels.
Okay. And is it difficult to place that video in hotels? Some of them reject it, or how would that go?
No, it's a company here on the island that pretty much went around and they did a video. And that's how it got into certain hotels.
Okay. Alonso, from creating the Isle of San Nicolas mural, do you play any other role with that entity? And is those, as you mentioned, you have videos down at the hotels and stuff, do you have any knowledge as to if that is going on?
We're gonna take it away from I Love San Nicolas for a minute. Just looking at the community on a whole and just looking at us here on a whole and a Aruba, we have a role to play with each other, you know, a daily role in a sense where whether it is getting tourists to the other side of the island or whether it is a day-to-day conversation with each other on the street, we have an obligation as a community to put more respect into the community, start having more appreciation for each other, do what's necessary in keeping our community clean, do what's necessary in reaching out and supporting each other, whether if it's a small business, whether it's an organization, whether it's somebody having an event here in San Nicolas. At the end of the day, whether if a tourist come to the island or not, we have a responsibility to each other here on this island first. And like I said, for all of us in the community, we're looking at a bigger picture every time. But it's about looking at the small things, helping a youngster across the road, going into schools, giving up your time and letting people know what really the problems in the community, what people are really facing, see how we could help each other in overcoming problems and situations on the island. Most of us know what the problem is in San Nicolas, but how much of us are really taking our time and dedicating to the ones on the street, to the ones in school, taking time and helping others. That's really what the core it comes down to. We could look at the big picture and say government this and government that, but what it is we're doing on a daily basis to help each other, that's what it comes down to.
Looking at the man in the mirror. Start still.
Exactly.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah, any questions from our audience? Let me see, we have a question down in the back. Mr. Maitland?
Okay, I have 2 points. They're not really questions. Number one about Bernardine, or restaurant, Kulture Cafe. I'm a client, and I would like to endorse her. I do buy food here regularly, and it's sabroso. I like it. That's number one. Number two, this is especially for San Nicolas Business Association. I'm a member, ordinary member. I was once on the board. About a hotel in Cerro Colorado, the Baby Beach Secrets. In that time, I think it was in 2018, we sent in 2019, I think, but we started in 2018. We sent a letter to the government about that hotel and everything around it. We wanted to see a lot more things around it. It's not only the hotel, but as Harold mentioned a while ago, San Nicolas will be the shopping center and let's say the restaurant area of that hotel, at least for the guests that do not want to eat anymore in the hotel, because when you have all inclusive, it's at the moment that people want to go outside. And so, which means to say you have to prepare for that. So, it's a 9-page letter, there are a lot of things in it. San Nicolas being the shopping center and the eatery. Also a lot of infrastructure to fix, roads and so. Even a new road straight through the colony, just from Lago Heights straight through the colony. Even that. Also the beachfront here is mentioned in the letter. So I'm still available, let's say when we have to make the rounds, let's say with the different ministers, etc. I'm still available, and I'm looking at the president of San Nicolas Business Association, and also the secretary, and more members. I'm still available, to give a helping hand in that. Right? So, those are my points.
Thank you, Mr. Maitland, R&L. So, we have people who are willing and able, wants to volunteer their time. So, I hope, Errol, as the secretary, you take note of that in the future, if need be, we can always reach out
I don't know why
to Mr. Maitland.
I don't know why Maitland said that for, because we have Maitland working straight.
Okay, well,
Maitland don't get away.
but at the same time, I think he could take on a couple more. He's willing to work. That's the thing. He's eligible and ready to work. So that's very good. Let's take a look around. We have anything from Facebook? Okay, let me get that out of the way. A little housekeeping. Say hi to some of those who are
The comments, San Nicolas is not promoted to harm tourists, and also the problem is not San Nicolas. The problems of San Nicolas are complex. We should start.
Anyone want to add anything to that comment? It's a comment. San Nicolas are not being promoted to the tourists. And the second part was?
The problems The problem is of
No.
San Nicolas is complex.
The problem of San Nicolas is complex as anywhere else in the world. Anyone want to take a stab at that? Well, this is what we are doing here tonight as part of it's a conversation. You know, we're looking at. Use the mic, please.
San Nicolas Business Association within the next couple of weeks will be signing an MOU with Tourism Authority. The reason therefore is that for years they have been supporting projects here and there, and they feel that you know they need to get a clearer picture of where their monies are going. So in the future, we discussed that the other day as well. That one of the things that they're doing is they're getting ready, and they have a center right here. They came up with a branding, and we told them that you know we can't. The branding has to be exposed to the people of San Nicolas, so that's something that they would agree with it. When you want to brand San Nicolas, people have to agree with it. So when you're talking with tourism and preparing, there is work being done as we speak, right? But it's like she said, it's complex because we are approaching it. I'm trying to pick it up right here. Anyway,
Well, we're just taking it from the grassroots. There is no one here, as far as I know, well, definitely no one is representing the tourist entity. But at the same time, a lot of us interact, as Alonso talked about. I myself interact with different tourists on the island, or just in the area, in different ways. So we cannot really say, you know, that there is none. But we doesn't have, or do we have representation, or is it just an entity that is overall? And going back to what Bobby asked about infrastructure and budgeting, you know, and I'm not going to throw that one at you, Errol, because I mean that's for the way and when they come up with infrastructure and so forth. But it's things that are recognized in the community, and there has to be a way to hold them accountable or to find those type of information so we could see how balanced it is and how the budgets, how the funds are being distributed. Definitely. So we have a couple of parliamentarians from up this side, and maybe they are the ones to approach to say, where can we find those information? How can they make those information available? What are the websites that, you know, the people who are interested would be able to get on and source those information? We have a question from Mr. Terrance Ras.
Mi pregunta na San Nicolas Business Association ta odo não siega bamisa kami ta turista pa kapi bisita un tabay San Nicolas tudo ko na hingadin kunang po bisa mas ko na singami ating art district mas tingi ka ang kuvertinanang odo não siega ora turismo yega aeropuerto na ba natawag algo di San Nicolas na aeropuerto natawag algo di San Nicolas na entrada di Eticarinam, sempre me pergunta, mas não há que nunca lhe dirá como está aqui.
Attualmente nel plan come acaba di menzionare, comincia nel summer, around in luna di juli, e turisti non può fare barco, turisti non può fare bene e torna con le macchine a San Nicolas, non può llegare usando il telefono, non toma app, lo tiene tutta l'informazione da apri app, non corre non da tour, tu posso salire in avanti. Assim na avançada vai estar fora de retorno com a de idade que não está muito vrindo com o telefone com a nossa points of interest porque como digo vamos dar um exemplo se tour bus não vai para turista não aqui não right vamos bisa com o primeiro tour te toma 4 horas te 8 horas de 16 horas não volta para 1 hora não toma 2 horas de tour agora não cabe nada para aqui não tem 2 horas de tempo para shopping di San Nicolas con nota solamente che per te di banan cambio ota anto per sei non so piano di preparazione dice però maniera non so piano maniera mi menzionavo turisticamente nanta ata promuovere Aruba nanta promuovere paribo di progettare perché sa mas tanto walkie lo quale uitblinker da art district con nanta usando right pero yo es por dar un taste de lo cual está viniendo wave, ola está viniendo, camina com nós temos que preparar para o turismo que vai vir para o Brasil e lá tem sistema mais sofisticado e também simples para se trabalhar de maneira que vai estar nossa reunião para o secatito, que está sendo o turismo, que vai ter uma combinação dessa aqui, tá bom, né? Isso está passando, isso está in the pipeline as we speak. Sonny, I want to recognize Mr. Mario Cruz from our senior convent of the San Nicolas Business Association. He's also an ex-president.
Yeah, yeah. Before we move on, let's get to the meat of the matter. In San Nicolas Business Association, is there a person dedicated to promoting San Nicolas from a tourist perspective? Do we have that function, or that doesn't fall under the San Nicolas Business Association mandate?
If you go back and you listen to Mario, you want to say something about that?
Boa noite. Então, para pedir papiamento, mais fácil para mim. Eu estava presidente de 95 a 97 e depois eu estava da vice-president de 3 anos passados para 1 ano. Ora, a senhora pensa em que o problema de San Nicolas está complexo. Mas tem uma diferença entre complicated e complex. Que hora problema está complicated e que hora problema está complex. Som de wiskunde está complicated. Mas problema de uma sociedade, mas San Nicolas está complexo. E a diferença está que essa aqui está dinamismo. Que dinamismo está tomando lugar constantemente. Então, o que a mim toma nota dessa aqui. E me vai visa certa coisa que pode estar controversial, mas me quer toch é importante para nos compreender o dinamismo. O tempo é mal logra de certo líder de San Nicolas, para pensar em Mario. Ora está tem seu líder, o tem Voz, o líder de Rancho, o tem Charo Kelly, o líder de Tanquilender. Tem Cruz, o líder de Santa Cruz. Lo que nos necessita líder de San Nicolas. Mas agora o líder de San Nicolas é vindilante e sali para o interesse de San Nicolas, é poder político. E na final do dia, tu costa traduzir isso mês na poder político, se você une e põe pressão sim ou não. E a sociedade, a verdade, estava em momento da história de San Nicolas, que estava em uma união grande aqui na San Nicolas, que nós escolhemos para líder. E não a donatura e resultado que estava aqui para diferentes coisas na sociedade. Me nota escolhe para partido político, o que me pensa, se tem líder de San Nicolas, de partido Gel, e tem líder de partido verde, e tem líder de outro partido, o que necessita é sustentar a comunidade para ora e vai para o parlamento, ou para o ministro, e tem poder por trás. Então eu penso, a minha papia na nome de San Nicolas, minha botadona de San Nicolas, a botadona é para poner accountable também, não é nossa bota papo, nosso acoso sobre também. Então, a consciência é mesmo um lugar aqui não. Certo momento, aqui não visa você fica, nós também força na política também, dentro dos partidos. Então, a pessoa não dá conta também na comunidade de San Nicolas. Agora, dentro essa é nossa sociedade, ainda está recorrer agora na San Nicolas Business Association, mas é a única instância que tem um recorrido de continuidade. Como você avisa, você não estava 100% nunca, mas de vez em quando é o único que nós temos na San Nicolas. A pergunta está, com leu e responsabilidade de San Nicolas está agora, San Nicolas Business está agora. Nós estávamos tendo discussão sobre viagem interno, se San Nicolas Business Association mesterta hinca o mês de problema social também. a juventude que está por nada ou está perdida aqui na San Nicolas. Não está tintura discussão na aí. Pero outro vez é tem com capacidade organizatória. E agora você viu mesmo, não? Nós temos que limitar nós mesmos, só o problema está complexo. E na final do dia, o portinho San Nicolas Business forte, e tem uma visão, pero este tem sustento político também. Me tem que pensar que está crescendo, o conflito agora aqui entre IMSAM e HOHA, demonstrando que claramente tem uma identidade de San Nicolas, quando está México IMSAM, pero está haya que em certo momento este vira mais organizado. E não me está negativamente, como deve ser, por a volta de Colômbia, a volta de Colômbia, não. Qualquer líder de San Nicolas que tem que nós está sostener, e qualquer líder que tem perna nós está sostener, basta nós lograr nos metas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mario, the ex-president of San Nicolas Business Association. And this is, as he puts it, if I understand it correctly, from a political perspective in terms of our leader. And those are the tip of the spear. But the rest of the spear, the rod, and the force behind of it would be the community. And as he puts it, it doesn't matter which color. But at the same time, if we have strong economic groups that support or, in layman's term, own the politician, then you direct the direction. Now, as the last time, here we are again. It's, Errol, what time it is? About 9:05? Your bedtime gone? I thought you were keeping time. You looking? What time is it? Help me out. You're looking for something to send me? Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, with that speech from Mr. Mario, I think it kind of sums it up, and we have questions to ourselves. Look at the man and woman in the mirror and think about the San Nicolas you would like to see and what you are able to do from your personal perspective, or finding like-minded people that you can work with and create that force. You know, if I were to strike this table with a finger, it might have an effect, but if I fold up my fist and hit it, it would definitely have a different effect. So that's where the unity comes in. But on this hand, I only have 5 fingers. So if we could get together with a couple of others, we can make it definitely much more stronger. With that being said, let's go across the panel for some closing remarks. And feel free. You know, you might go back and look at this and have a good chuckle, smile. Let us know what and where you would like to see San Nicolas going. You know? We start with Ms. Bernadine Akins.
As I said in the starting, for us in San Nicolas, so we can unite more. Where I would like to see San Nicolas, as basically like the downtown area we have. So, for instance, where all the tourists is, that we can have a San Nicolas like that also. That's a make more movement up in San Nicolas. A few years ago, San Nicolas was once the big thing on the island. So if we can get back there, that would be great.
Thank you. Alonso?
I would like to start it out by saying thank you to everyone that know me, that support my art, that comes to me and request different art. That's really what I want to start by thanking those that reach out and continue to support and do their part, and that helped me to actually do my part within the community. The San Nicolas that I want, that is inside of me, and that is what I'm going to continue striving to do. You know, I'm the type of person, and don't look forward for any hands out, but try to paint the picture of what I would like that to be. So I don't be between who's gonna do and who's not gonna do. I know what it is I have in mind to do for this community, for this place that I love. It's my home, but it's not my birthplace. But one of my parents was actually born here. So I have an obligation to my family here, to each and every individual here on this island, with the art I create, with the message I create in the art, and what it is I have in my heart for San Nicolas and the whole Aruba. That is something that I'm going to take those steps daily and get in there with a team that supports me in doing so. Family, the friends, and all the customers that do it on a daily. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Alonso.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As the conversation was going on and listening to different questions from the audience and from Facebook, I would conclude by saying, how can we turn our differences, whether individual or any which way you want to look at it, how can we finally turn our differences into strengths? Because we live in a community where people are very opinionated. Everybody knows what needs to happen and what is needed. And the idea is how we could bring these differences, because I can imagine that all these differences also carry weight of strength in it. But if we could do that, if we could turn around and if there is anything adverse, right, there is always a starting point with. And as a secretary representing the San Nicolas Business Association in this, I invite every group that's here and everyone that's looking on Facebook. There is a way to find us. A lot of people know our individual numbers, but you could find us on Facebook. And the idea is not only suggestions, but if you have ideas or you want to talk, let's move forward together, because the idea of just sitting down, and just talking about the problem, and we keep having differences, and we don't come together and say, okay, what are the top 3 things, 5 things, maybe 10 things that we need to work on together as a people of San Nicolas? The politicians gonna be politicians, but at the end of the day, we have something in common, Sonny. And what we have in common, we just eat, drink, and sleep San Nicolas every day, no matter where you come from. If this is your place of the way you live, right, I believe that let's turn our differences into our strengths. I leave that on the table for everybody tonight, and I'm sure that we're open books to that.
Sonny, before we close off, again, for the invitation, for me being here, to a fellow San Nicolas, I have something that I'd like to give you. And at the core of it, Sonny, I love San Nicolas, you love San Nicolas,
Definitely.
we love San Nicolas. This is yours.
Appreciate it.
I love San Nicolas. That's the core of it.
If it can't fit him, I could wear it.
Okay, thank you very much, Alonso. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please give the panelists and yourself a round of applause as we come into the course again. Wow, okay, extra drink there. Miss Bernadine from Grootebed Snack, Mr. Alonso Williams from, what's the name of your business? Alonso the artist. Mr. Errol de Freitas from the San Nicolas Business Association. And thank you for coming out and being a part of this conversation. Now, it's always, when we come to the end, a little bittersweet, because most of the time, it's then the questions start coming in, and sometimes we want to start the interaction much earlier and so forth. But once again, see within yourself what you're willing to do for the betterment of your community. And once you have that inspiration, you can either go out, find others, family, friends, colleagues, but also voice your opinion without probably not being mean in any way, but voice your opinion, talk to people, and I think that's how we would come as a community to a good consensus as to where we want to go. Reach out to San Nicolas Business Association. As I said, that is one of the legal entities that is representative. And if you reach out and they don't respond, reach out again, or form a group of business and go to them. Because if we don't do that, we'll be outside of the game. Now you might be able to pitch a ball from the outside, but the referee wouldn't recognize it. And then it might be more of a struggle for you to move forward. However, you have to be comfortable the way you want to go forward. But I urge you to find common ground, because I think we have more things in common with each other than we have against each other. So if we can find those parts where we can work with, and like I said, we agree to disagree. Because definitely some of my views, and probably no one here is going to be on with them. You know, it's come from a different place, a different perspective. I'm like Alonso. I don't see a box. I don't see the sky. It's way beyond that. So it might sound pretty far-fetched today, but as Nelson Mandela said, it is impossible until you do it. It is impossible until you do it. And as the late great Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, you have a man without confidence is twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you have won even before you started. I am the roots man's son, and I say, know your roots so that you may enjoy sweet, futuristic fruits. This has been the end of the 38th edition of We Culture. Thank you. Get home safe.